Welcome back. So today's one's just going to be a short one. I've had quite a few friends who aren't pilots ask, how do you start a small plane? How do you start one of the Cessnas that you fly? So I'm going to do a 90-second video on how to start an airplane. Let's go. All of the pre-flight has been done. So we're just going to go through and start from the pre-start on the checklist for the aircraft. So seatbelts, I'm secure. Brakes are on, so I'm testing the pressure with my feet. Make sure there's still pressure in the hydraulics. I will now pull and turn the handbrake. Fuel selector valve is on both tanks, and the fuel shutoff is in. That in is fuel on, out is off. We come across circuit breakers. So we're checking to make sure all the circuit breakers are in, which they are. Switches is next on our list. So switches, you can see down here, we're coming along, making sure that all our lights are off. We'll leave the beacon on, so that'll indicate to anyone else that the aircraft systems are going to come up. Fuel pump, 12 volt, pitot heater off. All of our avionics masters and standby battery are off. All right, so now we want to, on the standby battery, we're holding that down for 10 seconds, and we want to make sure that this light stays on for 10 seconds. That's telling us that the standby battery does have power and it is working. All right, we now flick that across to arm. We're now going to wait for the Garmin to power up and go through its cycle. So now the system's just starting up. So it'll come through, it's going to system test, and it'll start getting rid of these red X's. Our COM2 will stay off because that's not powered up until we turn our avionics on. So nothing adverse down here. Obviously no oil pressure, the engine's not running. That's showing us our voltage on the standby battery currently. So 24.3 volts with a slight discharge, which makes sense because it's powering the system and the beacon. We've come across, we switch the master on, and we're still showing a small discharge. Our beacon light is on, so anyone else, if you can see that, anyone else knows that if they're looking at the aircraft, the red flashing light on top of the tail is on, so they know that our systems are being powered up. All right, I'll run through a modified cold start procedure today. We have run probably about an hour and a half ago. The only difference between a cold and hot start is the amount of fuel prime that we put in, which you'll see in a moment. So we come across to throttle. We want to crack that 5 mil, or about, what's that, about 1/4 of an inch, you Americans. Mixture is all the way back. It's idle cutoff, so mixture is the amount of fuel going into the engine. At this point, we're going to go through and prime the engine. So with this cracked, we want to look up here to fuel flow. I'll come across, cycle the fuel pump on, bring the mixture forward, and we're seeing fuel flow, which is what we want. Pulling it back, and we're switching the fuel pump off. That's all we will give it. If it was cold, I'd probably give that an extra 2 or 3 seconds. So fuel pump's off, throttle is good. This is our favorite part. Clear prop! All right, and now we go through and turn the key like a normal car. So as soon as we turn the key down here, we want to hold the starter on until the engine catches and fires. We're then advancing the mixture forward, and we're then maintaining the throttle for about 1,000 RPM. There'll be a little bit of a glitch in the audio here until the avionics come on, and then I'll bring you back and we'll show you what we're looking for. So mixture, I'm holding the brakes, no one around us, turning the key. Mixture forward, RPM.
So we're going to bring that back to about 1,000 RPM. So oil pressure is obviously the important one we're looking here for straight away. We're expecting that on a cold day with a maximum of 30 seconds. And generally speaking, in this aircraft being reasonably new, we get it in 5 or 6 seconds. Yeah, we're looking at temps, so we're still in the green from today. Exhaust gas temperatures will stay low unless we bring it up. Bring power settings up. Vacuum, that's powering our standby instruments or instrument in this aircraft. Obviously our fuel quantities and charge, so everything there is looking good. We come across, we enter here, we'd be checking any of the GPS, RAMs or anything else like that if we're using that as our primary display. So this now, the aircraft is sitting here effectively ready to taxi. We would then do run-up checks to take off. But hopefully that is reasonably be interesting to you. That is taking a Cessna 172sp from power off, sitting to power on, ready to taxi. Hopefully that was interesting to you out there. Thumbs up, leave a comment, and I'll make this a bit of a regular thing. I've attempted to make this a 90-second video. Not sure I hit the mark. Don't think I did. But we'll do some more on these. We'll do another one on a 182. We'll do a 206 soon, and I'll get my hands on a couple of other aircraft with a few of the people I fly with, and we'll go through some of those startup sequences. If you want to see some more run-up sequences or some other bits and pieces, yeah, definitely let me